Another Belfast video? Well, this one's a little bit different, showcasing the Belfast 43, which is just her historical 1943 configuration, and she is coming to Legends at Tier 7 in the newest campaign. One tier higher than the original Belfast that we all know and love. So, what's the difference between these two ships in game? Is the Belfast 43 better than the Edinburgh? And is she a good campaign ship, or should you skip this campaign? All of those questions and more will be answered in this video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, so let's divide this video up. First off, ship setup. Then we can look at a stats comparison of this new Belfast with the other tier 7s, and for fun, let's compare it to the original Belfast. After that, we can talk about some gameplay tips for you when and if you get your hands on this Belfast. Before we do, though, let's look at this gameplay in the background. We have Domination, and Trident is a very, very small map, especially for tier 7s, and I really like it. You get kind of into the action early. At the beginning, we're pretty gutsy going straight in towards B. Because of our great concealment, we can do this, and obviously we'll have smoke for when we get up here. So the plan is to contest B cap and hope that this destroyer comes to B so that I can take him out of the match. Mostly, we're not going to want to be spotted or fight anyone in open water, and when I show you the armor for this thing, you will understand. Okay, let's start with the build, the modules, aiming system, steering gears, concealment, and MBM3. My go-to commander on Belfast 43 is going to be Bruce Fraser for his double fire chance and skill slots 1 and 2. Belfast 43 does have HE shells, unlike some of the other British light cruisers, so I figure why not capitalize on it. If I wanted to play an AP-centric cruiser, I would go use the Edinburgh that has much better short-fused AP. So I have her set up for damage output. Beyond that, it's up to your preference. If you would rather have a third of each consumable using fully packed, go for it, but the stock reload of B43 is slow, so I wanted to boost my DPM, and that means using refill station. Inspiration for this current gameplay are Mimbelli and Mikawa, again to bring the reload down and to have a little better concealment. I did not test an agile build on this ship. Again, if you use concealment properly, there's no reason you should even be spotted, ever. Unless your teammates are all dead and you're having to carry or push, in which case, good luck. Okay, so let's compare this British cruiser to the other nations. Survivability-wise, 38k is nearing the low side of things for a tier 7 cruiser. And you do have the option for a heal, but let's talk about that. Most British heals are nothing short of amazing, right? As Albemarle and Edinburgh at the tier can attest, both of those ships will return around 15,000 health each. Belfast 43's heal, only 6,400. Now on top of that, you're going to have to give up your smoke screens to get your heals. And that is why I will never run a heal on my Belfast 43. I would much rather have the smoke option. Armor-wise, 16mm bow means you can bow tank 203s, basically heavy cruisers, but anything bigger than a 229mm shell is coming right through the front of your ship. So Odin, the smallest battleship caliber at the tier, can punch through. Same goes for the hull and the deck plating. They are 19mm, and any battleship, even Scharnhorst with the 283s, will punch right through even if you're angled. So there is no tanking any battleship shells. At range, you have a giant section on the top of your Citadel that has only 6mm of armor. So need I say more? Well, I guess I will say more. The Citadel also comes above the waterline. Don't get shot, guys. Just don't get shot in this ship. You have 12 152mm guns. They are indeed better than the OG Belfast because they have 1/5 pin, meaning you can penetrate 30mm of armor, whereas the OG Belfast can only penetrate 25mm of armor. And this is significant. It's not going to help you much against Tier 7 battleships, who mostly at the lightest are wrapped in 32 millimeters of armor, but it's going to help you immensely when fighting other cruisers at the tier. Take Prince Eugen and Hipper, for example. They have 27 millimeters of armor basically all over their hull, so OG Belfast is going to shatter. Belfast 43 is going to get full pin damage. So that is not insignificant at all. On top of that, your HE and AP shell damage is going to be higher on the Tier 7 Belfast. Fire chance is the same, 14% with this Bruce Fraser fire build. High explosive DPM, 6th place overall at the tier with my ship setups, and that's a caveat. They're all set up differently. Some of them might be agile, some might be DPM, blah, 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 but it's 238,000. You're just going to edge out the Mikhail Kutuzov. And for AP, you're a little on the lower side, 8th place as I have it figured. On this note, I think I said it earlier, but this is not the short fused AP that the Edinburgh has. Now, you do get torps. 3 on each side. They can be single-fired in typical British fashion, and they are very average. I would urge you to forget about them, basically. 8-kilometer range, 16k warhead damage nearly, and they're mostly going to be for emergencies and defense. I would not think of them as an offensive weapon. That's going to get you killed 75% of the time. Remember, you are a British ninja. Rushing, YOLOing, etc. are bad ideas. You are not in an Edinburgh. You are not wrapped in 30 millimeters of armor. On to the AA. The rating is 70, DPS 207. That's pretty mediocre, guys, for an anti-aircraft cruiser. Pretty mediocre. Her stock speed, 32.5. You're not going to be winning any races, and while you have a decent 680 meter turning circle, your stock rudder shift is 9.9. That's a full second slower than the Edinburgh. Again, not the best agile cruiser build. Even though you do get the British physics-defying acceleration, it's still not going to be a great agile build. On the notes of handling, the deceleration of her feels worse than other British light cruisers I have played, and everybody knows it's definitely a quirk of British cruisers. Be very careful when you're slowing down. With Belfast 43, it feels like even if you put her in full reverse, you're going to continue to glide forward for maybe a mile or two, so plan your stops, especially before you smoke up, or you're going to end up in someone's Reddit clip with the hashtag potato. Now, let's check back into the game. I did my job. I hung around the middle of the map long enough to light up the enemy destroyer and get him out of the match. And with that, I would venture to say this one's in the bag. There's not much the Reds can do now. We are going to continue to play cautiously from the shadows and farm a little bit of damage on the derpits. I believe there is a Mikhail Kutuzov trying to blind fire me at the moment, and there is an Albemarle to the northeast. So again, we're just going to play defensively. This is what British cruisers excel at. And since we have the cap advantage, that's what we're going to do. Chill and kill. Totally keep the destroyer murdering ninja idea in your head, and you're going to do just fine in this ship. The consumables are fantastic. 9-kilometer radar, it lasts 30 seconds. Very tasty. And the sonar is beefed up as well with a 5-kilometer ship detection. The smokes. Maybe you've noticed, but they are short duration British DD smokes. They can get you in trouble, as you saw earlier with the Kansas, but hey, I really wanted that cap and I wanted the points. I'm a little greedy, I would say. I'm also very lucky to be alive for that boneheadedness, and he only had 2 turrets able to fire at me, so I survived. Typically, if a smoke runs out though, you only have to wait 20 seconds for another smoke. And with 5 stock smokes, it makes for an interesting cruiser playstyle. Smoke, shoot, defend, then turn on the screws and move to another spot to do the same thing again. It should go without saying you should always make a mental note of torpedo threats and run sonar if it's going to be an issue, if there's a destroyer in the area, if there is a cruiser that has long-range torpedoes such as an Otago or Megami. Smoke screens are torpedo magnets, and don't ever forget it. Here we get to show off the AP a little bit on the Albemarle, and I think this salvo here is gonna do him in, if I remember right, but hold on, let's see. Nope, okay, one more over the mountain and through the woods, and I think we're gonna go ahead and get that guy out of the match. There it is. So as you guys might know about me, usually I save my opinion on premium boats until the very end, so you can plug your ears and not listen at this point, but I want people to be able to decide for themselves if they like the boat just by the stats and the gameplay, and not being spoon-fed whether something is good or not. So here we go, my honest opinion. I am enjoying this ship. I think she works exceptionally well in a division when you have a DD for spots and possibly a battleship for tanking, but this thing is rather fun. The consumable suite is second to none. And while it may be true that Edinburgh is probably the better ship, I think Belfast 43 brings some uniqueness to the table. If you are a support cruiser kind of player, I think you're going to enjoy her. If you are more of a super aggressive turn and burn player, the Edinburgh is going to be the best bet. Now, me getting myself killed here, I kind of knew the game was over, but at the same time, maybe it demonstrates a great point that even the secondaries of a Tirpitz are going to tear you up and eat you alive, and I probably should have went ahead and damage conned the fire, but I didn't want to get engines or rudder knocked out. But anyways, again, perfect example. If you were in Edinburgh here, you could have just rushed him, bow on, torped him, killed him. Belfast 43, nope. It is not the ship for that. You cannot make aggressive plays. It's going to be ninja playstyle, fighting from the shadows. Now, before we go any further, do me a huge favor, smash the like button. I would appreciate it. And also, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on Belfast 43, whether or not you will skip this campaign or go ahead and buy her for the 2,500 doubloons, the Admiralty backing, which is, again, the best deal in the game. One thing is for sure, though. I would rather play Belfast 43 any day of the week over the Flounder. And with that, guys, I will catch you in the next one. See ya.